Marcy Boyle, and I'm an application and appeal team leader with Newlin Disability. I've been working in this department for about 10 years. I know a lot of the ins and outs of the successful completion of an application or an appeal. One thing that's very important is the more detailed medically, the better. There are several reasons why it's a good idea to hire an attorney. Number one, we know what Social Security expects on an application or an appeal. If you leave out any of that valuable information, they're not going to get your records from your doctor and they're going to deny your claim. The application itself is very lengthy. There are 3 forms that we use from which we ask questions of our clients, and from that, our data entry department files the claims online. Applying incorrectly can make you getting approved much more lengthy, because the faster and more detailed Social Security gets illness and treatment information on a claimant, the more quickly they might be able to win their benefits. We know how to communicate with Social Security, and we know especially what is required on their forms. Some things that an average claimant might not know is that simply using abbreviations on conditions they're going to reject that and not consider it a condition. They want conditions spelled out. We know what kind of information we have to give them. The first form that we fill out is called, it's SSA.gov, Social Security's application for disability insurance benefits. It's basically biographic information. On this form is also detailed information about any employers that the claimant had this year or last and the money they made. And then a couple of real important questions are your conditions related to your work in any way? Specifically, were you injured on the job and did you file a workers' comp claim? Answering yes to something like that can put a big red flag or black flag up on the case and kind of halt it, as Social Security looks to make sure there's no duplication of benefits. The form on the right is the Social Security disability application that we just spoke of. The form on the left is Social Security's Form 3368, which is basically where they get all the details about you, about where you live, what your phone number is, what your email address is, and then that's on Section 1. In Section 2 of the 3368, Social Security considers it very important to your claim that you provide the name and contact information of a friend or relative who knows about your conditions and can help answer questions about your claim. Basically, they want to know from that friend or relative how your conditions affect you on a daily basis. Section 3 is medical information. And this is where you can't abbreviate anything. Whatever your condition is, they want it spelled out. And then next to Section 4, this is where I get really bogged down in detail. It's the most difficult section to fill out. It's about work activity. And on the SSD app, question or item number 8 is, when did your conditions become severe enough to keep you from working? So in Section 4, if the date they stopped working and that onset date from SSD app are the same, then it's pretty easy. You fill in that same onset date in Section 4C and then answer that you've not made more than what they consider substantial gainful activity since that date. It gets more complicated when the date last worked is either before or after that onset date. And I'm not going to go into that detail, but it gets progressively more complicated. And basically, the answer is that the last date that you put in section 4A through 4G must agree with item number 8 on the SSD application, or it can't be filed online correctly. Section 5 on the 3368 is education, training, and literacy information. And it's pretty much self-explanatory. Section 6 is detailed work history. And this is where you put what your job title was from most recent to the oldest. You put what your job title was, the type of business you worked for, beginning month and year and ending month and year, hours per day, days per week, a dollar amount, and then the frequency of that dollar amount. It can be anywhere from per the hour to per the year, but it has to be some kind of time. Can't put in mileage pay or anything like that. And this section gets really complicated if there's only one job that the claimant has had. Then there are 2.5 pages of essay questions to complete about what they did on that one job. And it's even our application specialists find it very cumbersome to try to complete that. Section 7 is medicines, and you list the medication, the name of the doctor who prescribes it, and what it's for. And you can't enter a doctor for medications that you haven't done a treatment page on. Section 8 gives you 6 possibilities for medical treatment, and you need to make sure that the doctor's name, phone number, and mailing address, complete mailing address, is all available, as well as first visit, last visit, and next visit, if any. And then there's a line for what medical conditions were treated or evaluated. And in this case, I took it right from the conditions list in 3A, that this was a cardiologist, and the medical conditions treated were non-ischemic heart failure and high cholesterol. And then the next doctor is a pulmonologist, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease was treated by that doctor. So I did, of the possible 6 entries, I used 2. Then the next 8B, those were 8A 1 through 6. And then 8B are any tests ordered by the listed physicians. And once again, you can't put a doctor in ordering tests that you didn't do a treatment page for. That pretty much summarizes that. Now, I'm not going to show you the SSI app because there is no online facility for the SSI app. What we find is a lot of applicants, a lot of claimants who have applied themselves did not complete an SSI application, didn't even answer yes to it because they didn't know they had that option. And all you have to do on the online application in order for Social Security to make sure they help you complete an SSI app is to answer yes to planning to file for SSI. If you use us to help you with your application to begin with, you can be assured that we're going to ask you to be as thorough as possible